another burden to hiring.
Another 3 counties announced they are lifting restrictions.
A Greenwood Village newspaper says everything but the only thing that matters after publishing a racist article.
And a sure sign that our long national nightmare is nearly over. Casa Bonita is about to reopen.
There's so many employees there and so many people that have loved going there for, decades.
In some places, people freak out when it snows in mid-April. Here, we freak out when it doesn't. Good evening, and thanks for joining us on this snowy Thursday. I'm Ann Trujillo.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. We're glad you're with us tonight. And tonight is the payoff of this dreary stretch of several days. Several inches of snow will fall across the Front Range into tomorrow. And Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson is excited to talk about it. Mike?
Sure. It'll still probably be doing this week. Time we get to Mother's Day, as we know, springtime here in the Rockies. Let me show you. It looks like this afternoon. This is about 1 o'clock at City Park, and it didn't take long for that snow to come in, and now it is really coming down in the downtown area. Look at the snow that's down by the state capitol at the moment. Temperatures are tumbling. We're already dropping down to 33 Denver, 32 up at Fort Collins, and we'll drop down to the mid-20s tonight. It's a good band of moisture coming through here with some embedded thunderstorm activity. Winter weather advisories cover the mountains all the way out across the Northeast Plains till noon tomorrow, and we are seeing, look at this in Park County up by Bailey, thunder and lightning up in that area. Also out in northern El Paso County. If you get underneath one of those, you can get snow at a rate of 1 inch or 2 per hour. So it can really come down in a hurry, and just not much rain left in this. So for tonight, it's all changing to snow with some thunder. Heavy snow overnight, could see up to 1/2 foot of snow. And we're going to have some slushy roads expected by tonight, later on, and certainly for tomorrow morning. More details on it, and when we might see the sun coming up in a bit.
I think you might. Con artists have made off with between $20 and $30 million in unemployment benefits. The State Labor Department tried to stop the bleeding by increasing security in the sign-up process, which just made it more difficult for deserving Coloradans to access the money they're owed.
That story we've covered before and often, and tonight, Denver7's Megan Lopez is focusing on the fraud itself, where it's coming from, and the toll it's taking on employers.
For a while now, the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment has known fraud is happening in their claim system.
Previously, we've been able to tell you that we've only paid out $6.5 million on claims that are confirmed as fraudulent.
But they've also warned that's likely not the final number.
We do unfortunately expect that number will be increasing.
Now the CDLE is saying of the $8.77 billion in unemployment assistance paid out over the course of the pandemic, between $20 and $30 million were fraudulent claims. For employers,
Making sure that those claims are paid accurately is just as important as making sure that they're paid quickly.
the latest fraud numbers are more than disheartening.
Both employers and employees have been catching fraudulent claims since the late spring and reporting them regularly. So it's troubling that those are still making it through the system.
JJ Ament from the Denver Metro Chamber of Commerce worries the numbers could be even higher. And he says this is a double whammy for businesses since raising payroll taxes on employers is how the state's unemployment fund will be replenished.
The unemployment trust has to be repaid whether it was depleted through legitimate claims or depleted through fraudulent claims. This just becomes another burden to hiring the next employee.
So he's calling on the state legislature to use stimulus money to at least cover the fraudulent costs,
so that we don't further impair our recovery.
Meanwhile, Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser says his team is still working to find the fraudsters.
We've put together a statewide task force, getting cooperation from all the district attorneys.
CDLE tells Denver7 many fake claims are coming from countries like Nigeria, but
Anyone who retrieves unemployment checks, debit cards, taps into funds has a local point of connection. And we want to figure out who those people are.
for now, though, the investigation continues, and so does the fraud.
We're going to need help finding them.
Megan Lopez, Denver7.
The State Department of Labor is expected to address the issues with fraud and unemployment in Colorado tomorrow morning. I promise you we'll be listening. Aurora paramedics will no longer use ketamine. That sedative was placed under review following the death of Elijah McLean, who was given the maximum dose after first responders incorrectly estimated his weight.
A Loveland police officer is on leave and 2 others are on desk duty following the release of a video in which a 73-year-old woman is violently detained. Attorneys say that woman has dementia and did not understand why she was being stopped. The responding officer didn't seem to pick up on that, and the way he spoke to her brought her to the ground and allegedly dislocated her shoulder. Officers called for backup. They were no more sympathetic. We asked the chief of police today if procedures should be changed.
Policing is a complicated profession. It is a dynamic profession. Every situation is different. We have to always assess and reassess when we have incidents, when we have complaints, to make a determination, could we have done it differently? To answer your question right now would be very preliminary.
Loveland police said they had not received any reports that the woman was injured until the lawsuit was filed yesterday in federal court. The department expects an investigation will take some time.
1,500 cases of the coronavirus confirmed in Colorado today. We will climb past 500,000 before the pandemic is through. 540 people tonight are in the hospital. 40,000 doses of the vaccine were administered today. More than 3.4 million shots have been given in our state to date, and 1.3 million now fully immunized.
Weld County will join El Paso, Teller, and Douglas counties in lifting restrictions on gyms and restaurants tomorrow. Businesses can keep precautions in place if they so choose. From what we're hearing, at least a few of them will. And Denver will loosen but not lift restrictions tomorrow. As we suspected, restaurants are having a tough time achieving 100% capacity while also keeping customers 6 feet apart as the city requires. They're also not complaining.
We're only going to be able to bring back in 6 tables, but even that feels pretty monumentally important to us.
Now that we're standing here and we have the possibility of seeing tables come back in, it gives everyone a sense of normalcy.
Local control takes effect tomorrow. 2 things will remain the same no matter where you live. Masks are still required and schools must maintain restrictions. Casa Bonita is down but not out. The legendary Lakewood restaurant tells Denver7 it hopes to reopen by Memorial Day weekend.
A whole lot of cliff divers might need to come out of retirement for this one. And wouldn't you know it, our Liz Gilardi caught up with one today.
So yeah, it's something that you can't really miss when you're driving down Colfax in this area.
But fans of Casa Bonita have been missing this iconic restaurant for more than a year.
It's kind of like if you took a Mexican restaurant in Disneyland and combined them together.
Spencer Musso would know. He worked as a cliff diver. And he's glad to hear the owners hope to reopen by Memorial Day.
There's already been enough local restaurants that have been shutting down recently, and you know, Casa Bonita is something that's just so close to Denver's hearts. So it's definitely an important place to stay open.
Casa Bonita has been closed since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. Earlier this month, the restaurant's parent company filed for bankruptcy. Court documents show Casa Bonita faces $4.4 million in debt.
Our plan is to reopen.
Ron Dowdy with Summit Family Restaurants told us about the plans to reopen. It's a daunting task to hire employees. Anywhere from 100 to more than 300 people work at Casa Bonita, depending on the time of year.
A lot of people love Casa Bonita. It's been very difficult. It affects everyone. It affects the employees. It affects our vendors, our customers, everybody.
Some people love Casa Bonita so much they want to run it. A campaign called Save Casa Bonita has already raised more than $37,000. Organizers know the restaurant is in financial trouble and they want to keep it alive.
It's really been amazing.
Andrew Novick says it could mean putting together an acquisition deal. The money will be refunded if it's not used.
If we could, we would love to operate it. We would love to bring the ownership to Colorado. And we have, a lot of expertise willing to help do that if it's possible.
A beloved Colorado landmark that might not be closed for much longer. Liz Gilardi, Denver7.
Well, Jefferson County Schools didn't have to look too far to find a new superintendent. TRACY DORLAND comes to Jeffco from Adams 12 5-star schools, where she was deputy superintendent, and before that, a teacher, a principal, and supervisor within DPS. Denver7 political reporter Nicole Brady asked her today for her approach on leading during a pandemic.
Especially when it's difficult, like it is with pandemic management in school districts. Everybody doesn't always get their way, but I know that if people have a voice at the table and they feel heard, and they at least understand if they're not getting their way, why, and what's the rationale behind the decisions we make in terms of how to manage the pandemic, it goes much better.
Dorland's contract was approved last night. She starts on Monday.
A Boulder attorney is again spending thousands of dollars to keep gun control front and center in people's minds. A billboard advocating for stricter measures is again positioned at the Boulder Jeffco line. Similar signs were raised in 2018 and 2019.
The people running the Village newspaper say they're committed to learning and growing from the backlash over a racist April Fool's Day article. What they haven't done is apologize. The editors seem to think that they should show their commitment toward cultural diversity with this photo gallery. The page features the Nathan Yip Foundation, which did not appreciate being included and essentially responded with, "We are people, not tokens, and if you want to have a conversation, it needs to start with the words, 'We're sorry.'"